I know of guys, friends of mine, who lost their lives in Vietnam, and it's a terrible thing. However, my views on this still hold, that there was a war to save democracy. But what gets me is it should have never come up. To me, the trial became a political issue. Political motives were there. Political emotions came to the surface. And that's why people who violated the law were found not guilty. They weren't found innocent. They were found not guilty. And I would still be very proud. I'm 60 years old, and they probably wouldn't take me. But I'd go to fight in Vietnam if it was going on now. I tried to in the years past. I was in the Marine Corps. And I just think that it became political, and I believed we're a nation of laws. And the law, in this case, the whole judicial system did find them not guilty, and that our system worked. However, I can't agree with it, and that's my story.
I think what I carry with me most from the trial is not even the verdict or certainly some very high emotional moments, but what I learned and what I've tried to live for the last 30 years since, what I learned from that trial is what it means to be community. That the strength we have is not the strength of individuals, it's the strength of a community. And as long as we were a community together, no matter what the verdict was, we had won. And when I went to deal with street kids, it wasn't to be a servant to them or helpful to them, it was to be community with them. I work now with the homeless, it's not to give from what I have to what they don't have, but to share community with them. And I learned that from these wonderful people whom I love with all my heart.
I actually have a quick little vignette story that symbolizes to me a lot of how this, what was amazing about this group. And David mentioned over the phone about notes from jurors who had indicated through their notes and their questions that they were leaning towards the defendants. And as a way, to me, this covers the question of the judge and the pro se and how we developed everything we did and all that. But early on, we kept saying to the jurors, do you have any questions? And the judge would say, well, no, you can't just ask jurors questions. They can't do that. And so, we'd say, well, look, these folks are going to judge us and they're going to wait for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. How are they going to remember if they have something, that they want to ask 6 weeks from now? How's that going to happen? And so it kept being brought up. And finally, the judge reached an acceptable, course where he said, the jurors can ask questions. They have to submit them to me in writing. I will show them to the defense and the prosecution and outside of the jury. And if they have any questions, we can discuss it. And then if everything's okay, I'll ask the questions. So that was kind of agreeable to everybody. After the very next break, which I think was at lunchtime, Paul Kooming appeared in court with 12 or 16 tablets and 16 pencils for the juror. And, I just always remember that. And I think it brought out that we really, tried to communicate who we were to the jury, and we wanted the jury to know us. And I guess in a way, it's sort of a response to Terry. We are a nation of laws, and very often it has to come down to very fine points. But in the larger sense, what is supposed to go on here is, in the best world, a search for truth. And in this particular circumstance, there just isn't any question that the truth was not broken glass and broken file cabinets.
I want to say thank you for providing the story to be told. Thanks very much.
Terry raised a very important point in his comments. Two important points. One is that we are a nation of laws, and I think there are a lot of good reasons for that. And I think probably most of us take that very seriously. And I think deciding when to break the law is not a trivial decision or a light decision. And I hope that if I was presented with the same decision again today, that I would have the courage to make the decision I did when I was a child of 21. And I would hope that the young people that are out there listening to this would search their consciences and try to make the right decisions today.
I'm Ann Dunham, and I would also like to speak for my husband, Frank Parmersheim, who was also one of the 28 who couldn't be here today. I think for both of us, we were proud and privileged to be part of this group 30 years ago, and are proud and privileged to be part of them today. And I think as Ned was saying, what I take, the trial and the whole anti-war movement had such profound effect on my life. I mean, it's made me who I am today. I think who my children are. I would hope that as I continue my life, that I will make decisions based on what is moral, what is right, what is good. And as Terry's Mr. Neist said, there are laws, and I live my life from day to day following those laws and realizing the importance of them. But we must never forget that there are higher laws, and that there are times when we need to do what we feel is right in our hearts.
The judges instruct the jury on the laws. Okay, this is the law. And the judge tells the jury what the law is. The jury judges the fact. Okay? Which is straightforward. Okay? And they say, if you disagree with the law, you must follow the law. This is the law. Okay? They do not, and this is the important thing, they don't talk to the jurors, prospective jurors, in terms of distinctions. The crucial distinction is application. The law can be applied in cases, or the jury can choose not to apply it. They can say the law is the law, but to apply the law in this case may not seem just. Okay? That is the right of the jury. The judges do not make that distinction. And I think that may be an avenue for a resurrected Camden 28 to perhaps go into the field again and see what can be done about bringing some balance to the way juries are instructed.